I am the master of insensitivity, and I teach a college course 2 nights a week on it. You can get training in insensitivity. Joining me from Cheyenne, Wyoming, is Boyd, who is with Wyoming Liberty Group, looking dapper with a new haircut and a nice blue blazer on there. Boy, it's been a while. How have you been?
We've been doing well down here. Can't
Yeah.
decide whether to accept hail or snow, but other than schizophrenic weather, we're doing well.
Yeah, springtime in Wyoming is what that's called. It's when all of the bad weather that they forgot the winter time is supposed to hit you in the springtime. So, okay, and I'm a simple kind of guy here, Boyd. I really am. I want to be able to do things like, just take my trash out once in a while and dump it in the garbage and go back into my house and sit my butt down and watch some TV. It should be that simple, but apparently, Boyd, in Cheyenne, things are not so simple anymore, are they?
Well, it does get a little complicated, it seems, but that's kind of the nature of one side of a government that tries to figure out a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Down here in Cheyenne, like in Gillette or like Casper, the city gets to keep a monopoly on collecting trash and decides when you shall and where you shall not have your trash collected.
So they can't leave well enough alone with any part of our lives whatsoever, right down to where we decide to take our trash and how we decide to take our trash out. Just curious, though, since we are dealing with the Socialist Republic of Cheyenne, what if, boy, just for the heck of it, I decided not to have trash pickup at all, but I decided to use an alternative route? Is that available, or am I not allowed to make that decision?
Not if you're a resident.
Oh.
Now, if you're a business, you could hire somebody to do it for you, but if you're a resident, you shall have the city collect your trash weekly. And up there in Gillette,
yeah,
same holds true. I checked the Gillette city ordinances.
Okay, now, just curious here. I would bet, I'm just going to go out on a limb here, Boyd, not only do I have to bring out my trash when they say I do, but I bet you they tell me how I must package my trash and how I must display my trash. I bet you they even get into details like that because, we're not intelligent enough as citizens to make these decisions for ourselves. Does the ordinance go that far?
No, the ordinance doesn't go that far, but the service tells you how to arrange things. And I mean, in fairness, we have to be fair here. They have trucks that operate a certain way, and you've got to set your container out so that the trucks work right. But they do dictate. Well, they want to dictate that everybody puts it out in front of their house. No more alley trash pickup, and that's what precipitated this, caused me to write this blog.
Back alley trash pickup. That's just wrong on many levels, boy. That's just, Lord only knows what kind of deals are going to go back there if you go into a back alley with your trash. So why did you write an article about this? What was your beef?
Well, one evening, I was at the city council meeting, and I had received this card that I kind of tossed aside because it didn't apply to me, that the city was announcing that they would no longer provide trash collection services for residents in the alleys. Everybody had to use the front curbside trash service like you might see in a newer neighborhood. Well, of course, there are people that make different choices on where they want to live and what kind of arrangement they have. And in the older parts of town, there's alleys, and that's where trash was always kept, and you didn't have to keep your trash container out in front of your yard as a lawn ornament like in other parts of town.
Mm-hmm.
So some people objected, and I wondered. And during the complaining, let's call it what it was, someone said, why can't we just pay a higher fee and get this trash service in the back alley? Maybe it does cost more to go down the alleys too. Why can't we just pay for this choice? And so I started looking to see why not? Why can't somebody just pay extra to get a service that they want? And lo and behold, a lot of the major cities in Wyoming prohibit residents from contracting with private business to come and pick up their trash for them. The cities maintain monopoly on trash collection.
Okay, now since we have a city monopoly on anything, it doesn't have to be just trash collection. Immediately, that means that you're not going to get not only the quality that you want. I'm going to wager that the price is not exactly what you want. And like you were just saying, some people would be willing to pay a little bit extra for an extra service, but the service is no longer up to you because there's only one person or one group deciding.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get to the bottom of the price issue. In my review so far, it looks like the cities that provide trash service that I've looked at charge less than what I was paying for private trash service in a city roughly the same size before I came back home from Virginia. I was paying a little over $25 a month, and it looks like the price in Cheyenne and Gillette is maybe under $20 a month for residential trash service. But based on what I heard, it's pretty clear that the level or choice in service isn't what people would want. Now, the city backed down, and now they're going to continue to provide alley trash service for now, and there's a lot to sort out. But it was.
What if, though, a lot of towns in Wyoming are so small, they really, maybe the only way to do it is through a city service if the town is that small. But what if I moved into Cheyenne and I saw a business opportunity and I wanted to start a private trash pickup company? Would I be allowed to do that in Cheyenne, or are they pushing out the free market?
As far as residential service, no, you can't. You cannot. If you're a private trash collector, you cannot seek customers inside the city limits. I mean, you jump to the conclusion that small communities can't support a private industry. I beg to differ.
Okay.
Roughly 2/3 of Laramie County's population is inside of Cheyenne. That still leaves 1/3 of the population outside of Cheyenne. Out for the 35,000 people who do not live in the city limits, there's at least 4 private trash collection companies that I have found that offer service to those people. I looked at up there in Gillette, and of course the city of Gillette maintains their trash collection monopoly. And looking at the county website, it looks like there's at least 3 private companies that provide residential trash service in unincorporated Campbell County. And Gillette makes up a majority of the Campbell County population. So smaller populations than what Gillette or Cheyenne or Casper have are enough to support private industry, multiple companies, at some level of service.
Right.
And I don't know what the price is, but they're there. There
Okay.
are choices in the free market.
I'm also curious about my private choice and what I have to pay for, because one thing that will drive me absolutely nuts is when I'm forced to pay for something that I specifically said that I did not want. Just to toss out maybe a thing like Obamacare. I didn't want it, but I have to, they want to make me do it anyway. Okay, so what if, let's say, I'm a business owner and I have a dumpster at my place of business. So I decide I'm just going to take the trash from my house and bring it to the dumpster at my private business. Do I still have to pay for home pickup even though I'm never going to use the service?
I haven't dug into that, but I would wager yes.
Yeah.
And you might just happen to get your empty container tipped once a week, whether there's anything in it or not.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an issue for some of the big buildings downtown that required a separate container for every tenant in the building. So you might have an office building that had, 20 offices for rent. Every one of those offices had to have commercial trash pickup, even if it was an office that had, a few scraps of shredded paper a week. And so that was another point of contention. And one of the things Cheyenne has finally started doing is trying to account for the sanitation services separately from the rest of city operations, so we can see what the financials look like. And the first time that's going to happen is for the 2015 budget. And the draft budget I've seen claims that the trash service is going to provide $1.6 million back to the city general fund.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's right, then that may be evidence that, maybe they're overcharging. Maybe people are having to pay for things they don't need. I don't know. I'm still trying to get to the bottom of that.
Well, how would we, in your opinion, would we reverse the trend? I mean, okay, so here the government has a monopoly, and usually when government has monopoly in something, they're not all that willing to just turn around and give it up. So how would you get those private companies out there in a position where they could start providing services and the government would give up? I can't believe I'm actually saying this. Give up the power over trash, Boyd.
Yeah, that's the fun about talking trash, isn't it?
Yeah. Talking trash. I like that. I'll have to name the video Talking Trash with Boyd. Go ahead.
And I was not a trash talker whenever I played sports, but quite frankly, have a sit-down conversation with your elected leaders that make these decisions, make the local laws, and talk a little trash with them.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the approach I would take. You know, if it's a city ordinance that says thou shalt not hire a private trash service, then that ordinance was put in place by the city council.
Right.
And anything that the city council can pass, it should be able to undo.
Oh, sure.
I wouldn't at this stage even say completely get out of the business, but at least remove the prohibition from the resident.
Right, and give the people
hire their own trash collection service.
Yeah, we should at least have the option. Well, let me toss this out because I know we're talking about the trashing right now, but let's expand out a bit more. This wouldn't be the only thing that government, whether it's city, county, or state government, grabs a monopoly over, would it be? I mean, we could probably think of quite a few things that they have a monopoly on that we certainly should wrestle away from them.
I would tend to agree, and I kind of thought this was a nice metaphor for health insurance, but that's another discussion entirely.
Yeah. Well, hold on, because I got to pay a couple of bills here, but I mean, I'd like to take this topic of trash and expand it out because it's not just health insurance, it's water, it's utilities. I mean, it's even city parks. There's a whole pile of things that the city will get into, any city, again, or county or state, that we can wrestle a monopoly away from and it would be to our benefit, if not just to our rights. I'm talking with Boyd. He's with Wyoming Liberty Group. More in just a moment.
OldRepublic.com.
And back and we dive with Boyd from Wyoming Liberty Group, and we are quite literally talking trash and other topics as well. The idea being, Boyd, and I wanted to just sort of explore some of these other topics with you, between all sorts of different utilities here. We're not just talking garbage, trash pickup here. We would have to be talking, let's say utilities. We would have to be, and I'm thinking water, and I'm also thinking maybe electricity in some of the bigger cities as well. Well, in fact, I wonder, does Gillette have that problem with electricity? You with me, Boyd?
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay. I can't tell you whether or not Gillette. I can't tell you whether or not the Gillette city government maintains an electricity monopoly. I know we've got two separate electricity companies down here. One is a subsidiary of Black Hills Power, I think is what it's called, and then we have a cooperative, a rural electric cooperative that services the rural areas, and I know the two come into conflict sometimes at the city's edge, and it has to do with franchise fees and franchise rights that the city can grant to an electricity company. And I share your concern about water. The idea that the city can by controlling water supply, the water utility. Down here in Cheyenne, by my analysis, we have a housing shortage, and it's starting to affect housing affordability in the marketplace. Yet the city has control through the local Board of Public Utilities over where people can run water to supply housing, and
this is going to provide a lot more growth outside of the city then, wouldn't it? I mean, if people run into problems like that, they'll just move outside of the city and build there. Now you have urban sprawl.
We have a fair share of what I would call large lot urban sprawl in an area where the state engineer doesn't like you to have a yard less than 8 acres if you don't have city water and sewer, just for health purposes,
Right.
water safety purposes.
Well, part of the reason I bring this up because when you were talking about the garbage problem, it reminded me of so many other things. And one of them is, and I'm forgetting the name of the town, but it's a town just north of Atlanta, Georgia. And they decided to start privatizing things. So everything is privatized, Boyd. They decided, for example, the parks may be owned by the city, but they put up who's going to take care of the parks up for bid. And that has to do with trash collection and name your city utility. Anything that they could outsource up for bids, and they have multiple companies taking care of things, again, like parks and utilities and you name it. And they found that now a city of about 300,000 people is run by a city of 5 employees while everything is outsourced, and they're saving a lot of money doing it because they don't have a city monopoly. And I'm wondering, why hasn't Wyoming ever thought of a process like this?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if it's part of some sort of a populist heritage or a frontier communitarianism, but we certainly have communities that are large enough now to supply enough demand for private industry to do its thing. You know, that's the nice thing about this trash example, is the rural areas with fewer people are supporting multiple companies, while the cities are monopolies. Again, I don't know the pricing, but the fact that you've got multiple participants in the marketplace suggests that we wouldn't go without trash service if city trash collection were privatized, and I don't think that we would go without water if water were privatized. There's other parts of the country that certainly have private water utilities, electric utilities. Funny thing about the private market, maybe they can even tap into some different investment vehicles and to maintain the infrastructure that aren't necessarily available to the city.
Well, see, it reminds me of, how old are you, Boyd?
40-something.
Oh, 40-something. Okay, well, we're not too far off here then. Because I remember Ma Bell, the telephone company, that was the only game in town. And you got a choice of phones. You could have a black phone or a off-white phone. It was going to hang on your wall or sit on the table. And you really didn't have much choice. You were going to have to go through just one company. Therefore, service and pricing sucked. And as soon as they broke up that monopoly, well, now look at all the choices and products and services. So I'm thinking, hey, Boyd, designer trash cans in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Maybe we can go that way. Who knows?
Maybe somebody would want to pay for that. I don't know that I would.
No, I certainly wouldn't either. No. Okay, but my point, though, is obviously this goes well beyond just the trash pickup that you wrote about in your article. Where can people find that article?
It's at wyliberty.org, and it's currently still on our front page. You can find it there, along with many of the other blogs that people in our organization publish. Maureen Bader has addressed privatization of city services in past blogs as well, past articles as well. So I would suggest looking for her work.
All right, wyliberty.org. Thank you for coming on, Boyd. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you.